Dan's Dispatch on Talk Radio.
I'm imagining a headline from 2030 that goes something like this. Fans of the classic TV comedy Friends stockpile bootleg DVDs after it's banned from TV and deleted from streaming services. Unlikely, I hear you ask? What on earth has that harmless barrel of laughs that dominated 90s viewing ever done to offend? Well, according to its critics, a lot. There's transphobia, sexism, and racism. Remember, the core cast is devoid of an ethnic minority, something Lisa Kudrow, who played Phoebe, has admitted would be unacceptable today. Actually, looking at that list, maybe it won't even take a decade for the liberal elite to decide this must-love show should be cancelled. There has been a cultural reckoning this week for many favourites, in part prompted by the Black Lives Matter movement. Anton Deck said sorry while we were on air yesterday for impersonating people of colour on Saturday Night Takeaway. Keith Lemon issued an emotional apology for the use of blackface on Channel 4's Naughties series Beau Selector. Netflix and the BBC ditched the David Walliams and Matt Lucas comedies Little Britain and Come Fly With Me altogether, a decision which the Culture Secretary Oliver Dowden said last night he disagreed with. And in the most controversial move, HBO, the US network, decided to yank Gone with the Wind from American TV 80 years after its release. That decision, I think, is particularly complicated. A period drama that was first in cinemas in 1939, remember, but set during the American Civil War in 1861, predictably features unsavoury depictions of slavery and race relations. But the film is widely considered to be a classic, and it was groundbreaking in so many ways, just one of those ways being because Hattie McDaniel, who played the slave Mammy, became the first African-American to ever win an Academy Award for her performance in that movie. I have to be honest with you, the concept of cultural censorship fills me with dread. When this particular Pandora's box is flung open, I just wonder where it will end. If all TV programs and movies and books are judged by the standards of 2020, then how can we see how far we have collectively come as a society? Is it not the correct approach to view any artistic work from the past as a time capsule, the equivalent of a historic artifact? And if not, what does that mean for so many of our classics? What about Shakespeare, whose Othello is considered racist by some? Do the woke elite now erase Harry Potter because they disagree with J.K. Rowling's position on trans rights? And what about my favourite TV series of all time, Mad Men? They better not go touching this one. But it's a period drama that so faithfully represents the racist and sexist and homophobic 60s advertising industry in New York that in early episodes, the only time you see African-American cast is when they're working as lift attendants, because that's what it was like on Madison Avenue in the 60s. That's the very point, though, for us to understand just how horrific life was in that era for anyone who wasn't a straight white male. I've thought hard about these questions this week and come to an unpopular conclusion. Trying to gloss over bigotry and barbarism from another time does little to prompt modern understanding of what went on and why it must not be repeated. As a gay man, of course it's depressing that no TV shows of my youth featured characters that represented me. But I don't think they should be banned as a result. Disney, the big American corporate giant, has come up with a simple, common sense solution that doesn't involve censorship. Rather, films like Dumbo, for example, which has been criticised for its portrayal of African American characters, now comes with a very simple warning. That warning reads, "This program is presented as originally created. It may contain outdated cultural depictions." That makes sense, doesn't it? That's enough. And then in a world of civil liberties and in a world of freedom of speech, let us make our own judgments. The past 2 weeks have quite rightly prompted so many uncomfortable but necessary conversations about our culture, from age-old statues to contemporary media. However, what I want to do today is implore organisations, corporates and impassioned individuals to take a deep breath and start a dialogue, rather than making knee-jerk demands and giving into censorship that might be irreversible. So that is our question of the day. Is it right for TV shows and films from the past with unsavoury views to be censored?